When I joined Patriotic Systems, we were a mid-level defense tech firm with 3 clients and a server room that doubled as a janitor's closet. I built the compliance division from scratch: audits, vendor vetting, risk matrices, internal policies. I was the firewall between our contracts and federal prison. Then came Mark. King of buzzwords. A man who thought due diligence was a probiotic yogurt. Somewhere between Series C funding and his obsession with disruption, I became inconvenient. He called me into the flickering fluorescent conference room, the one that always felt like a Cold War bunker. He didn't bother with HR or preamble. "You know what your problem is, Nicole," he said, leaning back like he'd just discovered gravity. "You still think rules matter." And just like that, I was redundant. 6 weeks severance. Standard release folder. No goodbye. No box. Just a phone, badge, and a small leather notebook in hand as I walked out. But Mark didn't know I'd already set the lock. Months earlier, during one of his impulsive armation sprints, he forced a rollout of our new AI-based contract validator. He wanted it fast. I wanted protection. So I buried a deep compliance protocol in the code, a 2-factor cryptographic handshake tied to my federally issued credential. It couldn't be cloned, forwarded, or bypassed. And it wasn't documented. "Necessary?" Mark asked, espresso breath thick with entitlement. "Standard protocol," I lied. Fine. Push it." We rolled it out 2 weeks before he fired me. Unemployed, I sat in my kitchen, drinking wine instead of coffee, applying to jobs with euphemistic listings like resilient mindset, must thrive in ambiguity. Translation: smile while everything burns. The system I'd built? A ghost to them now. I got a library job in West Brob. Beige desk. Cardigans. Teaching retirees to open email attachments. It was peaceful. Honest. A million miles from Mark's delusional speedrun through regulations. Then, one Tuesday or Wednesday, honestly, they blur together, I got a LinkedIn ping from Dave. "Do you remember how the validator logs authentication? We've got a preliminary state review happening. That's government speak for audit is coming." They had tried to finalize federal contracts. Big ones. But the validator wouldn't accept the signatures. Because my key was gone. Because it was built not to lie. Dave kept messaging. "Mark's losing it. Legal is buried in paperwork." They brought in a third-party IT team. Nothing's working. Because the system wasn't broken. It was working perfectly. Contracts submitted after I left were flagged. Why? The final handshake didn't exist. Because I didn't. They'd tried to forge it. Override it. Patch it. And the system just said, "This shouldn't be possible." I smiled. Then the news broke. Federal investigation launched into contract irregularities at Patriotic Systems. Clean headline. Vague details. But I knew exactly what had happened. They forged a signature tied to a terminated credential. Mark had stepped on the tripwire. By Saturday, Dave messaged again. They zeroed in on one DoD contract. Multi-million-dollar. Everything passed except one thing. Signature block failed the final validation. That phrase. Incomplete authentication event. I wrote it. Hard-coded it. Triggered when a credential doesn't just fail, it's missing. They brought in auditors. Servers were cloned. IT director got canned. Mark's name floated with words like forgery and fraudulent intent. And then came the final nail. They figured out the signature had to come from a role that no longer exists. Mine. Heavy envelope. Red seal. Government letterhead. Office of the Inspector General. Then the call. "Miss Caldwell, can you confirm your termination date?" "Yes." "Then can you explain how your cryptographic signature appears on a contract dated 2 weeks later?" "He couldn't have," I said, sipping my coffee. "Let's talk about the system I built." I explained everything. Not with glee, but with clarity. The design. The protocol. The warnings ignored. The ethical trap laid not out of spite, but duty. Mark once told me oversight was a luxury. That rules slowed growth. But now he was facing indictment. because he bypassed the one person who actually understood the rules. And sometimes, the paper pushers push back.